morning, good afternoon, good evening. One of the problems we have with our opposition is that they don't even know what they're talking about. And Chamisa has become the prime example of that. He likes to describe situations in ways that make it the whole situation worse than it is. Denying facts when it's convenient for his argument, exaggerating them if that suits him too. In this video clip, he is talking about the constitutional crisis in Zimbabwe, specifically referring to the Mnangagwa 2030 agenda.
For defending what's not there. The Constitution can't be defended when it's not there. You can't defend a nullity unless if you are a nullity. You can't defend what does not exist. There's no constitution in this country. Even those who are in government know that the constitution has been shredded apart. That's why they can have a party resolution being imposed on a people. Where do you have a party resolution being a resolution? You want to sustain a nation on the basis of party or partocracy, state-party conflation. No. Zimbabweans are big. You are Zanu, you are a numerator. You can't be the denominator. The denominator is Zimbabwe. We must all and debate issues about the country. If you want to go, and we will teach you that you can't walk alone when you're talking about national issues. It's for all of us and define the common way forward. So we don't want to be invited into factional fight within ZANU and join that. The crisis is a constitutional order breakdown crisis, a governmental order breakdown crisis, the absence of elections. We go into an election is a ritual. Uganda, what we saw in Tanzania, partially what happened in Mozambique, that phenomenon must citizens who are bold, decisive, and are clear about what they want, and will lead the church.
What is interesting here is there are many aspects one can pick here. Let's pick this issue of there's no constitution in Zimbabwe. The 2013 constitution was approved in a referendum in March 2013. At the time, some of us said that constitution was weak. It will never deliver the democratic Zimbabwe we wanted, but we shouted down. Morgan Tsvangirai, Tendai Biti, Welshman Ngube, Nelson Chamisa, they were the MDC leaders in that GNU government that drafted that constitution. Going to the referendum, their position was that that constitution was a democratic constitution. Tsvangirai even boasted that it was an MDC child. The people should approve it. Zanu PF pretended to dislike it. And in the end, it was approved by something like 94% of the votes. It was only after the referendum that Paul Mangwana, who was the MP, the Zanu PF MP, and co-chair of the committee that drafted that constitution, boasted that Mugabe dictated that constitution. So here we are, the so-called MDC child that many people were made to believe was a democratic constitution, turned out to be a dictator's creed. Of course, it's no surprise that it has failed to deliver a democratic Zimbabwe. But let's be clear here. Chamisa was a senior member in that GNU. He was one of the ministers, no less. He was an MDC minister. And as far as I know, he never said anything critical about that constitution. During the referendum or after, until now. Now he's telling us that that constitution is a nullity. It has been shredded. By who? When? We can't keep on having this nonsense. When it suits you, you denounce the constitution as useless. And yet, at the time, at the critical time, you were the one who supported it. The other issue here is that he doesn't want to be involved in this Agenda 2030, defending the Constitution, because it's a nullity. It's a nullity. This has created friction within the opposition camp. Because as we know, there were other members of the opposition, notably Senator Jameson Timba and others, we had come together and formed a defense a platform to defend the Constitution, to stop Mnangagwa tampering with the Constitution, to create, to allow him to stay in power beyond 2028, the so-called 2030 agenda. And it is not surprising that some of those people are now up in arms, because what Chamisa is saying is, while they are saying we are defending the Constitution, he's telling them you cannot defend a nullity. I think they've got good reasons to be disappointed by that statement. If he doesn't want to join them, it's okay for him to say so. But to now say that the Constitution is a nullity, just because it suits him now, it's unfair, to say the very least. Whether we like it or not, that Constitution was adopted. It's not working. I know that, but we have a Constitution. I would like to emphasize here that whilst I do not agree with Senator Timba and his defense the Constitution platform, colleagues, I have never accepted that this so-called ED 2030 agenda is nothing other than just a decoy. A decoy thrown onto the stage, political stage, soon after the 2023 elections. Because Mnangagwa knew he had rigged those elections, and he wanted to take the heat away from the fact that SADC and the AU had actually condemned those elections as flawed and illegal. And what better way to draw the heat away from that than to throw this, I want to stay in power beyond 2028. And it worked. The opposition and many other activists forgot that Mnangagwa was illegitimate and were totally absorbed about how he could extend his stay in power beyond 2028. I've said on this platform that even if Mnangagwa was to carry out, even if the likes of Senator Timba were successful in stopping Mnangagwa doing whatever he has to do to extend his stay in power beyond 2028. If Zanu PF goes ahead with the 2028 elections with not even one token reform implemented, the regime will rig it. And if the ordinary people participate in the same numbers as in the past, they will give the regime legitimacy. So stopping Mnangagwa staying on beyond 2028 will be an empty victory because the nation will still be stuck with the Zanu PF dictatorship, albeit with a new dictator, not Mnangagwa. The number one task for the nation is to focus on 2028 elections. I accept that it is too late to implement any meaningful reforms to stop Zanu PF rigging those elections. But we should concentrate on making sure that people are not conned into participating in those elections to give Zanu PF legitimacy. That should be our focus. And I believe Senator Timba, as much as he would want to be the champion defending the Constitution, he would nonetheless participate in 2028 elections without reform. He is senator because he participated in 2023 elections with no reforms. And before that, 2018 elections with no reforms. So people should not be surprised that he will put his name in the hat, or at least encourage those around him to participate in 2028 with no reforms. I repeat, stopping Mnangagwa's 2030 agenda He's nothing. It's neither here or there. If we fail to stop Zanu PF rigging 2028 elections and get away with it. It's not the individual dictator we should be concerned about. It's the dictatorship itself. And we should be smart enough to know that our fighting must be strategic and focused. If we're going to fight to stop Mnangagwa, one dictator, extending his stay in power, and lose the battle of stopping the dictatorship itself going beyond 2028, then we are losing the plot. This is a fight that we must win. The very idea that we are now looking at 46 years post-independence, and we are still failing to hold free, fair, and credible elections is a great disappointment. We must end this madness in 2028. And for that, we need to be focused, laser focused on what is it really we want to achieve. And I repeat, what we want to achieve is not to stop Mnangagwa extending his stay in office beyond 2028. What we want to achieve is to stop the Zanu PF dictatorship existing beyond 2028. In between, even if Mnangagwa was to force Parliament, change the constitution to say he's staying in power beyond 2028. If Zanu PF fails to get away with a rigged election in 2028, Mnangagwa would know himself that his stay in office will not be possible. We must be strategic and very focused on what we want. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.